The rain poured down in torrents, creating a river in the middle of the usually bustling city street. Umbrellas were useless in this weather. Cars were scarce, and the few that dared to drive through the downpour had their headlights on. Behind the wheel of one such car was a man who was just coming home from another successful business day. His name was Marcus, and he drove a luxury car that cost more than most people's first apartments. As he drove, he glanced at the people crossing the street and suddenly slammed on the brakes. There on the sidewalk huddled two old figures who seemed to have collapsed under the weight of the pouring rain. He could see them clearly now. An elderly woman with white hair that looked like flowing silk and an old man with a neatly trimmed gray beard. But something was wrong. They weren't just sheltering from the rain. They were soaked to the bone, drenched by the heavy downpour, and the old man seemed to be struggling to breathe. Without a second thought, Marcus got out of his car and ran to the old couple. He felt a pang of guilt as he realized that his luxury car, the epitome of wealth and success, was just inches away from being ruined by the mud and water of the flooded sidewalk. But he couldn't care less at that moment. All that mattered was the elderly couple shivering before him. "Are you all right, ma'am?" "Sir, can you hear me?" His voice echoed in the vast emptiness of the street. The woman turned her head, her eyes filled with a lifetime of stories and a touch of desperation. "Oh, thank God," she rasped, her voice weak and shaky. "We need your help." And so without further ado, Marcus helped them to their feet. The old man leaned heavily on Marcus's shoulder, his gaze pleading for assistance. With gentle care, Marcus supported them both and led them towards his car. He knew he needed to get them out of this weather as fast as possible. The old woman was too weak to stand on her own, and the old man seemed to be in distress. As they approached the car, the old man clutched at his chest. "I don't think I can make it," he whispered, his voice strained. Fear flickered across the old woman's face. "Harold, please hold on," she said, her hands trembling. Without wasting a moment, Marcus opened the back door of his car and gently helped them inside. He then drove them to a nearby hospital where they received medical attention. It turned out the old man had heart problems, and the sudden exposure to the rain had been too much for him. After a few hours of observation, they were given clean clothes and food. And then Marcus took them to a nearby hotel where he booked a room for them. For the next few weeks, Marcus visited them every day, bringing them food, clothes, and most importantly, hope for a brighter future. He arranged for long-term housing assistance and medical care. He also found out their names, Eleanor and Harold. One day while visiting them, Marcus noticed a faded photograph on the nightstand. It was a picture of a young boy, no older than 10, standing in front of a house with two elderly people who looked very much like Eleanor and Harold. He asked about the photo, and they told him it was him. "You were the young boy who came to live with us when your parents couldn't take care of you anymore," Harold said, his voice filled with fondness. "We were just trying to give you a better life, nothing more." A wave of realization washed over Marcus. He had heard stories about their past, how they had taken him in when he was just a boy and raised him as their own. He had always been grateful, but he never realized it was them. As the days passed, Marcus became more determined than ever to make a difference in their lives. With their help, he established a foundation dedicated to providing food, clothing, and shelter to homeless, elderly people. One sunny afternoon, a few months after their initial meeting, Marcus visited them in their new home. It was a small but cozy house with a garden full of blooming flowers. He had chosen it himself, wanting to give them a place where they could feel loved and comfortable. As he entered the house, he saw the couple sitting in the living room, their faces lit up with smiles. "You really didn't have to do this, Marcus," Eleanor said, her eyes shining with tears. "We're just so grateful." Marcus embraced them both, feeling a deep sense of connection and gratitude. "You are my family," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "and family takes care of their own."